All right, so speaking of exercises, we're going to jump into the next one. So if you look inside the hooks folder, you're going to have a org file, org.js, which is just the org schema, and then you're going to have a project schema. And they're both pretty much filled out. They got some good stuff on them. But just like the rest of the exercises, you're going to have some tests that you have to pass. So if you hop into the README and we preview that, and we go down to what's happening here. So again, you're going to have a different test command. It's just going to be exercises/hook _ test, just so we can run those tests and not any other ones. And basically, in this exercise, you're going to learn how to use schema middleware and virtuals, which is exactly what we just talked about and what I walked you all through. Also, you'll dig into the indexes a little more in detail and talk about compound indexes. So that's what we just did. So now you're going to have to showcase those skills. And just like before, check out to the start branch, reference the README for any links or resources or help that I might have talked about. And as far as the tasks go, there's more tasks here, but I promise you that they're not as difficult as the last one. So first thing is you're going to add a compound index to the project schema so that the project names are unique per org. Very similar to what we just did where I made the school names unique per district. You're going to make the project names unique per org. Second thing you're going to do is add a virtual getter to the project schema called budget left. And that's going to calculate how much budget is left versus how much budget is spent so far. I'm going to walk you through that in a minute because you haven't seen these models before, so you might not know what I'm talking about. And the next thing you're going to do is add a post remove hook to the org schema that removes all projects associated with the org. So again, if you have associations set up on an organization and you delete the organization, every project that's referencing that deleted organization needs to get deleted too. So you need to write a middleware for that or a hook. Add a virtual getter to the org schema called avatar that creates the full URL to the org avatar by concatenating the CDN URL with the org ID. That sounds very complicated, but in reality, you're just making a string that adds a string inside of a virtual. And I'll walk you through what that looks like. And then you just need to get all the tests to pass. So I'm going to walk you through those right quick. So if we go look at the org.js, the virtual, what I'm talking about is, and the test will tell you, is you need to take this CDN URL right here, and you need to add it to the ID of an org inside of a virtual. And that virtual needs to be called avatar. So you need a virtual called avatar that just returns the CDN URL plus the ID. That's it. So that's one thing. You also need to add another middleware in here that post remove will go find all of the projects related to the org that just got removed and delete those too. So you got to do that. So that's going to be an asynchronous middleware hook that you have to do on post remove. And then inside the project, I believe what you had to do in here was you had to add a virtual called budget left. And basically all it does is it has a getter on it that when called will just give you the difference between the budget and what was spent. That's all it does. So you subtract the budget, you subtract the spent from the budget, and it should return that value. And that should be a virtual called budget left. And then the last one that you had to do was in the project, where is it? Oh yeah, add a compound index to the project schema. Yeah, so in the project schema, this is where you would also add a compound index where you want the name of the project to be unique, but only scoped to an org. So you add a compound index for that. And those are the 4 things you have to do. If you do all that, all the tests should pass. So if we run these tests, we can do yarn test, or yarn, yeah, test, exercises, hooks, tests. So run those. You see 2 test suites and only 3 tests to pass, so it's not that many tests, but you can see they're pretty descriptive. So project names are unique per org, like we said before. This one's expecting that virtual to be there, and then you have some other ones up here that's expecting the org to remove all the projects inside of a hook. So it's testing for those things.